This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. She's back to being sunny out here in southern Alberta after pretty much 5 straight days of rain in Cold Lake. Although Budsy's birthday, beautiful sunny evening, great cool evening in Cold Lake. However, back to regular business. It is a Tuesday. Yesterday, the news of the guys getting back on the ice at Rogers Place. I don't think there's any sweeter news than that. Given everything that's gone on for the past 3 months, if you pay attention to the world of politics, the world outside of sports, you'd know lots of fun things are happening on Friday. But before we get to that, there's some big time news today for the Edmonton Oilers, and it's something not so unexpected, I guess you could say, right? Realistically, this is not something that's mind blowing. My goodness, how did this happen? We didn't expect this to happen. There's no way, right? That's not the case. The case being is Connor McDavid being nominated for the Bill Masterton, or hold on, I always butcher this one. Let me get this right. The Masterton. I always call it the Masterson. It's the Masterton Trophy. Awarded to the player who best exemplifies qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. This is done by the PHWA, the Professional Hockey Writers Association, and they have nominated Connor McDavid, the Edmonton chapter has, as the Oilers nominee for the Masterton Trophy. There we go. See, got it off finally all in one hand. So, the awards list, you can go to the Edmonton Oilers Twitter to find it. Includes Ryan Miller, Connor Garland, Kevin Miller, Curtis Lazar. This all going down. If you go A to Z in the Oilers or in the NHL, you understand which team for which. Mark Giordano, James Reimer, Corey Crawford, Ryan Graves, Nathan Gerby, Stephen Johns, Robbie Fabry. You've got Connor McDavid in there for the Oilers, Noel Acciari, Jonathan Quick, Alex Stalock, Shea Weber, Jared Tenorti. Tenorti's a fun one as well. Travis Zajac, Thomas Hickey, Henrik Lundqvist, Bobby Ryan. If I'm not picking Connor McDavid, I'm picking Bobby Ryan because the story is absolutely incredible and you love what happened there. Oscar Lindblom, guys, this is probably the one that should realistically win it. He's had a very rough go, and you've kind of seen how Philadelphia's rallied around him to do what they've done this season. Evgeny Malkin, Joe Thornton, Jay Bouwmeester right now as we get down the list. Not as familiar with the left-hand column as to what happened, but some of these names on the right-hand column, there's some tough competition if Connor McDavid's going to win this, but we'll discuss that more in a second when I get through the list. Alex Killorn, Zach Hyman, Jacob Markstrom. Of course, Markstrom, I believe he'd be nominated because he's coming off of what happened with his family last year, if I've got it correct, or was this year? Sorry, Canucks fans. Very out of the loop. I'll just shut up now and we'll move on. Shea Theodore, again, a guy similar to Lindblom, who is nominated probably because of fighting and battling cancer, and of course coming out on the other side to be a very good professional hockey player this season. For the Vegas Golden Knights, Michael Kempney for the Washington Capitals, and Mark Letestu for the Winnipeg Jets. So yeah, there's a familiar name for you. So that's your list, and that is the competition for Connor McDavid this year. I'll read you the release for the Edmonton Oilers on Connor McDavid and kind of why he's nominated this year. So let me get into it here. This coming straight from the EdmontonOilers.com website as written by the press release section of EdmontonOilers.com. Team captain and forward Connor McDavid has been named the Oilers nominee, for the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy by the Edmonton chapter of the Professional Hockey Writers Association. The Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy, I just want to shorten it, I know, is awarded annually to the NHL player who best exemplifies qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey, right? There's guys on that list that have checked all three boxes, as has Connor McDavid. The trophy honors the late Bill Masterton, the only NHL player to die from injuries sustained in a game. That's a little history for you. First awarded in 1968, the Masterton Trophy is under the trusteeship of the Professional Hockey Writers Association. Sportsnet Mark Spector, chair of the Edmonton chapter of the PHWA, issued the following statement today, and let me see if I can get this here for you. As Connor McDavid completely tore the posterior cruciate ligament and the PCL. That's just shorten it. Don't even try to pronounce that. Seriously, save yourself the time. In his left knee in game 82 of the 2018-2019 season. Enter the Connor McDavid Whatever It Takes documentary. As late as July 2019, doctors were still debating to perform surgery that could have cost McDavid more than half of his season, perhaps the entire 2019-2020 season, this coming from Spectre, or continue with a less invasive rehab and allow the tear to repair naturally. Not only did McDavid spend his summer in tireless rehab, as we saw in that documentary, he went on to finish in second place in the NHL with 97 points. Draisaitl killed it, got the Art Ross. McDavid's number 2. McDavid without a Draisaitl still would have won the Art Ross this year if Draisaitl hadn't done what he did this year. Trailing only teammate Leon Draisaitl, his 34 goals stood 10th in the NHL. His 63 assists tied for second in the NHL, all after missing 7 games to injury or illness this year. Yeah, McDavid also missed games this year. McDavid will be the first ever Oilers player to win the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy. So, that's your press release from the Edmonton Oilers themselves, and that leaves us with the details we need to know to either construct our argument as to why Connor McDavid should win or Connor McDavid shouldn't win. And quite honestly, the only reason Connor McDavid shouldn't win is there are a lot of great guys in the NHL for the other 30 teams that tick off each of the boxes. Let me read you those boxes again one more time. This being qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And that's not to say Connor McDavid doesn't tick all those off with 3 green check marks each. But, right, there's a lot of stiff competition out there in terms of what's going on this year in essentially the Masterton Trophy being the comeback trophy, right? The comeback player of the year. While Connor McDavid, I think, by all means is number 1 in that regard, but you can't downplay anybody else. That's kind of the tough place here. I'm sitting there talking to myself as I'm driving up the QE2 from home from work today, and I'm sitting there, okay, Tyson, come on. Like, are you really going to sit there and argue that Connor McDavid shouldn't win at all? And the only argument I could come up with to defend myself is simply put that there are so many good stories this year, so many guys who have gone through so much, so many different things this year, that there is no arguing that Connor McDavid does have stiff competition to win the Masterton Trophy this season. But you look at Connor McDavid, right? The PCL tear. If you watch the documentary, I encourage you, I will have it at the end screen of my video, kind of my initial reaction going through the Connor McDavid documentary when it released during the All-Star weekend back in January. That video, of course, the best all-time Edmonton Oilers video I've ever done in terms of views. I encourage you to go check it out. It obviously something happened there that we had a very good discussion and it took off. But so there's that, right? The documentary explains all. Pretty much the documentary Connor McDavid took part in and helped produce with the Oilers and the team that produced it and his doctors. That explains everything you need to know about why Connor McDavid deserves the Masterton. The problem is, right, all the other stories, but simply put, it is just incredible to see what McDavid kind of went through. And Mark Spector sums it up perfect. Not knowing until July, right? July. We're talking guys were skating at Rogers Place the first week of September or the last week of August. It all blended together. I was playing a lot of ball back then. But, yeah, ball's coming back too, by the way. Yes, phase 2, Friday. But, right, we were roughly at that time, give or take a couple of days, 2 months to a month and a half away from guys getting back to Rogers Place and getting going for the 2019-2020 season. And we didn't know, we kind of knew, kind of didn't, but like honestly the guys involved, the ladies and gentlemen involved in the situation hands-on, didn't know if Connor McDavid needed surgery or not. And here he comes on, gets through rehab, heals it up, has another injury with his leg, right? Remember, I believe it was actually the same leg, but it was higher above the knee. And okay, now all of a sudden we had that scare. Connor McDavid still puts up 97 points. And that's the absolute freak of nature Connor McDavid is. And that's perseverance, dedication to hockey, and sportsmanship all in it. And of course, being the captain does help that a little bit as well, kind of leading your team, galvanizing around that and getting going for sure. So guys, you look at it, the only argument to be made for Connor McDavid not winning this trophy, and I think it happens a lot in every other year, is simply put because of the stiff competition across the NHL. If I'm picking, I'm a sucker for the story of Bobby Ryan, who, you know what, he had a hard go and then got himself cleaned up and came in and made a difference for the Senators late in the season. And of course, the guy going through that, I've been firsthand around a lot of guys going through that, and that's not ever something you want to see someone go through, as far as I understand the Bobby Ryan story. So that's where my pick's at, but I know there's 30 other guys in the NHL that would be a solid pick for this trophy, no matter how you cut it. Guys, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next one.